Today on DNVR Buffs Live, have the Buffs finally found their answer at tight end in Zach Atkins. We preview the tight end room as we go along with our spring football previews. Let's get it. Let's go.
Damn.
Still silence.
Crazy. Welcome in the Toyota Lounge, driven by your Front Range Toyota stores. Toyota, the official vehicle of DNVR. What happened to Scotty yesterday?
Jamel in the comments said, why'd this show get cut short? Dion on the ones and twos back there had just had enough. He's like, I'm tired of this dude talking, and just cut him off.
Gave him an early vacation.
Yeah. You know, like it's like when you're accepting awards, you get played off.
Yeah.
Scotty just got played off. Take your vacation and get out of here.
Exactly. No, shout out to Scotty Pockets. He'll be back next week. Today on the show.
Can I talk about Scott real quick?
Go ahead.
I was in a meeting the other day, and we were just talking about like how important it is to nail the chemistry when you get new additions, and how like, especially when a show is going really well, it's really hard to bring someone in who doesn't make you take a step backwards before you can take another step forward. And I was like, dude, what's crazy is the opposite happened with Scott. Like, we never had the step backward, and it was just like an immediate step forward. Like, I was like, that's the blueprint. Like, however we can replicate that, anytime we're trying to add someone to a beat or a show, that is what we have to try to accomplish.
I think that it worked out that way because he just filled in for you so many times that he already like knew the show. Like, I think he even did a show with you and me already too. Like,
yeah,
there wasn't really alert. Like, he already knew what to expect coming into the show.
True. And I mean, he was just a perfect fit. We knew from those experiences.
Facts, of course, yeah.
Yeah. So, shout out, Scotty.
Shout out the man with the pockets. All right, today we got a massive recruiting update. We were going to talk about that yesterday, but kind of glad we waited today because we got some big news on the recruiting front today. S&P Plus rankings. We did returning production rankings for ESPN earlier in the week. Now Bill Connolly has the full S&P Plus. Abdul Carter gets injured.
Who?
Or a potential top draft pick.
Oh, okay.
So a shakeup at the top of the NFL draft. Big 12 Pro Day. Travis not working out at the combine, but we start, spring position previews. The tight ends. And really, there's one guy to talk about. And man, does he have an important role on this team.
Yeah, man. I mean, I was joking with you before the show. I said, if Zach Atkins leaves in the spring portal, I'm giving up on the tight end position entirely. This has been a true hole the entire Coach Prime era.
Yeah.
And it's not for lack of trying. And they've actually done a pretty good job at patching it. I would say 2 years ago, they did a better job at patching it with Mikey Harrison. But they've yet to find a consistent performer who changes the game. And I think that's the most important part is like you were able to get a surprising amount of production out of Mikey Harrison. You were able to take Savell Small's athleticism and turn him into a usable player.
Yeah.
You've yet to have someone where you're like, this guy is going to make a difference for us. And I think and I hope and I pray that Zach Atkins is that guy.
They need him to be that guy. He can be a potential X factor for this team, man. Just being able to, we talk about running the ball more this year and having a tight end who can come in and not tip your hand, right? Like with Mikey, it was pretty obvious. They're not going to run to his side. They're not going to run split zone with him. You know what I mean? Like,
let me let you in on a secret. They weren't going to run, period, no matter who was on the field.
True. But it makes it harder when you don't even have a threat. Like, no one to even threaten a defensive end. Like, okay, if this guy crashes down, like, all of a sudden I lose the edge. Like, we lose all the contain here. Like, this could be really bad. That didn't even enter anyone's mind playing against Colorado the last 2 years, really. So just having a guy who can kind of, fulfill that role. And also he's going to bring actual size and, strength. I think that's another thing. I mean, not that Savell didn't, but he wasn't a true tight end. Like, the last he played tight end, he was a senior in high school.
Totally. I'm excited about this, man. I am hopeful. I'm like I mentioned this earlier in the week. I'm so disillusioned about the position.
Yeah.
That I'm like trying to not get my hopes up, which is weird. It reminds me of like how I was about quarterback in the past. Mm-hmm. It's that's like, fair. Colorado got a 4-star quarterback, Shane Dillon. And I'm just like, I got to see it first. Nothing ever happened. Colorado got a Texas transfer, Connor Wood. Incredibly nice guy. Nothing happens. That's where I'm at. Like, Zico.
Uh-huh.
That's right. That felt weird coming out.
Yeah. It's been a minute.
Zico was like the guy. Like, we got like one of the more prized tight ends in the transfer portal.
Yeah.
Nothing. Last year, the guy who went to Cincinnati,
Shimon
Mateer. He comes in and leaves in the spring portal. So I'm just like, all right, like, just give me like week 1, first series. Zach Atkins like leaks off the line, turns around and gets like a 7-yard catch, and I'll be very relieved.
Yes. I mean, listed at 6'4", 240, he's a true tight end. Also, he's got, I think, one of the most underrated coaches on the coaching staff in Brett Bartoloni. Obviously was the wide receivers coach of 2023, so he got a bit more shine, coaching Travis and all those guys, Zay, Jimmy. He goes to tight ends last year, and, a lot of people question that move, and I always brought up, I think that they're moving Coach Brett because he's one of the better coaches / recruiters on the staff, and we've seen that over the last year. Not only is Zach Atkins coming in, but they bring in 2 freshmen, Zane DeSouza and Corbin Lazier. Can we expect anything from the freshman tight end?
Man, Zane DeSouza, maybe.
Yes.
He's just, his build is so college football ready already. And imagine what he's going to look like, after working in the program.
Yep.
You would assume that his role would be a lot more blocking focused early on. And especially if, like so many people have already decided, he's being eventually converted to offensive line.
Right.
At the same time, if you're planning on converting him to offensive line, then maybe you just say, we're going to redshirt you, and you're going to gain 70 pounds.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, again, like you said, Zane DeSouza is the one of the freshmen. Not that Corbin Lazier couldn't be something, but I think that he needs to add more mass to his body. And he's more of just like a receiving threat right now, which that'd be nice to have this year. But I think that the way the offense is going, the way that the scheme is going, Pat Shurmur, Caden Salter, and just Marshall Falk, what they're trying to do, they're obviously trying to get this running game going. They want to get bigger up front. We'll talk O-line tomorrow, and that was a big emphasis for that group. But it seemed like that was an emphasis at tight end, too, because other than that, I mean, Sam Hart, he got hurt. He was a bigger guy. But you really had those 2 guys, and that was it. Charlie Williams, I don't even think, saw the field, and he was like a receiving threat last year, too.
Yep.
So do you think we see, like, any multi-tight end sets? Is that possible at all at Colorado?
Yes. I think it's possible, if not probable. Just because I think you have to. I mean, we've talked about this so much. You have to commit to running the football, and you have to experiment with formations and anything you can to try to say, can this be the thing that works for us? Hopefully they have several things that work for them. Last year, it just wasn't something they were, necessarily willing to do. And I'm never going to say that I don't understand that. You had Shedeur Sanders, the most accurate passer in college football history. It's understandable to say, yeah, on 2nd and 7, I'd rather give Shedeur 2 chances to convert this than to run the ball and maybe give him 3rd and 7 or 3rd and 8.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to try. I think they're going to do what they have to do. I think you're going to see some heavy formations. I think you're going to see maybe even some H-back, fullback, tight end work, just to experiment. It would give me so much calm if they added a fullback.
I don't know if we're there yet, bro.
I don't think we are, but I'm just saying I want it. Or, let me see one of those defensive linemen come in, and let's go back to the what do we call that? The Rolls Royce package?
What did we call it? I think that's right.
Feels wrong. Cadillac package?
It's definitely not that. Shit, what did we call it?
Someone, the comments will have it in like 30 seconds once the delay goes away.
That's true. Expectations for Savell Smalls. See your tight end too?
Yeah. Rick Ross package.
Rick Ross, thank you.
Why was I thinking Rolls Royce? RR.
Close enough?
Yeah.
Didn't you have a Rolls Royce? You said something about Rolls. Oh, that was Royce Freeman.
Royce
yesterday.
Freeman. Yeah. Rolls Royce also my dream car.
Really?
Yep.
All right.
It's just it's just such a flex.
Opulent?
Yeah, exactly. So opulent.
Who's laughing over there?
K-Max.
Anyways, that's the tight end room. I mean, it's a lot of just wait and see. Like all the other rooms we can kind of talk about and truly preview, but there's literally, Savell Smalls, who is a bit of a project. That's pretty much the only known in this room. Sam Hart's coming back from a pretty big injury. I think he tore his ACL. Of course, Zach Atkins is new. The freshmen coming in are new. It's just maybe the most unknown for a room on this team.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And a lot is riding on the shoulders of Zach Atkins. To the point where it's like you have to put an extra emphasis on keeping him healthy.
Literally, yes. Yeah.
Which is not a great place to be honest. Yeah. And might encourage them to add another in the transfer portal, unless they feel really good about Savell. And I don't want to take anything away from Savell. Like, I think that he did an admirable job in his position, converting during the offseason and going in there. And you saw some of his athleticism flash at times.
Yeah.
There's no doubt in my mind that he could have a huge leap. But again, then you'd be back. You like having two, right? Savell jumps up and does and develops well. You're feeling good. You take away one of those two guys, and now you're back to the same problem. So and you're hoping for a freshman or something along those lines. So you probably do need to add to the room.
Counting Mikey's season in 23 and last year, only 41 receptions for tight ends over the last 2 years.
How many catches did Mikey have?
Mikey had 31 for 284 and 5, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really not that bad at all.
No.
Especially compared to last year. Like, they got way more out of Mikey than they got out of Savell and Sam Hart and those guys last season.
You almost kind of wish Mikey would have stayed around.
Yeah.
Just like some of that seam stretching, some of that, like tight end leak screen stuff that they ran with him. We got very little of that.
Yep.
I remember Morgan Pearson got a seam stretching target against Arizona.
He did. He did. He's gone now too, though.
Do we know where he transferred to? I'm rooting for Morgan Pearson, man. Great kid, great family.
I do not know. He might be in the portal still.
Come on.
Central Missouri.
All right, let's go. Go ball.
All right, let's take our first break. Shout out to the homies over at UC Health. DNVR Buffs Live is brought to you by UC Health, the official healthcare partner of the Colorado Buffaloes. I've been slightly under the weather. The voice has not been great the last couple days.
Okay.
But I've learned the value of airborne.
Yeah.
Bro, I might be a truther.
Over emergency?
Yeah, anything like that. I don't even care.
Okay.
But I'm going to become, I think, a mass vitamin truther. I don't know how else to call it.
Makes you sound so much worse than just like, I'm going to be a person who has vitamins.
But honestly, like, it makes such a difference.
Yeah.
Like, how I feel, my voice feels today compared to yesterday, it's still rough, I know. Night and day.
It seems night and day.
I feel like this would have been like 3-day thing at least if it wasn't for all the vitamins and minerals. So be healthy.
For sure. I'm also on I believe I'm up to 30 days. 30 days consecutively getting my steps in on my Apple Watch. So I'm doing my part.
Everyone should be doing their part. Learn more about living like there was a tomorrow. Go to uchealth.org for more info. UC Health, live extraordinary.
Also, shout out to our friends over at Toyota. You guys know how I feel about my Toyota. But got a new testimonial the other day.
Okay.
Allie and I were taking a couple work friends to dinner as we had someone in from out of town. We're like, oh, let's go grab dinner. So we packed our car full. Both front, 3 in the back. Everyone in the back was like, this is not nearly as crammed as I thought it would be. And it's not like we have the like ultra extra size. We just got the RAV4, which is a nice mid-size SUV. And they were like, man, I thought we were going to be crammed back here. 2, large guys. Nah. Spacious, comfortable, smooth ride. I mean, everything you could ever want. Like, opulent. Everything you could ever want exists over at Toyota. So if you want a RAV4 or 4Runner, the new Land Cruiser or something else, visit your Front Range Toyota stores at a location near you. AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota is a proud partner of CU Athletics and the official vehicle of DNVR.
All right. NFL Combine, NFL Draft stuff. Travis is not working out at the Combine.
Again, we talked about it yesterday. Doesn't have to do anything.
Not at all.
But would have been fun.
It would have been a hell of a lot of fun. My next question, or I guess my only question with this, is the Combine dying?
Yes.
I agree.
And I think there has to be a real... Actually, we were just talking about this upstairs. Sometimes as a business, you create processes and then they just become tradition. And then like years later, you're like, wait, why are we still doing this way?
Right.
This is not efficient at all and not using the best of the resources that we have available to us. I think this is absolutely true of the NFL Combine. Now, why in the world would these evaluators need to see these quarterbacks throw in shorts with no pass rush to wide receivers they've never met before?
After they've already watched 20 plus hours of film from their last season plus?
Yes, exactly. So on and so forth. Of course, there's a place for the 40 times.
Yes,
of
course.
The broad jump, the correct measurements, and most importantly of all is the medical, which we don't ever see or anything. But for those of you who don't know, if you're an NFL team, you have a meeting with a player, you can have your doctors get eyes on things. Check out a knee that maybe was torn up in 2021 or whatever. Just make sure everything's, put back together right. All of that stuff, that's really important. But I think the Combine as at least from a workout standpoint, might be dying. And let me throw a real wrench in the gears here. I actually think removing the Combine and the testing and all of that would actually help NFL teams draft the players better. Because you just draft off of their film.
Yes. No, exactly. And this is the thing. The pre-draft process has become like bloated. It's become, I don't know, slightly unnecessary for multiple reasons. Like, again, why does Travis need to go out there and do like the gauntlet drill? Other than it'd be sick and it'd be cool for us to see.
I mean, it's a television event. Maybe the NFL should have tried to pay Travis Hunter to do it. It would have helped the ratings.
For sure. And maybe that's a solution. But, I mean, just over the last few years, I mean, a lot of people lost their mind over Shador not throwing. This has been a trend, though. Multiple guys have opted out. Ashton Genty, he's not doing it. Cam Ward, I don't know if he decided if he's going to do it or not. Now Abdul Carter's got this injury that he's going to be dealing with. Like, they're trying to put some exposure on, I think, the other guys too, but without the headliners, who's going to really watch? I mean, I guess it is for the NFL teams, but
yeah, even then though, like, not that this coaching stint worked out that great, but when Vic Fangio was coach of the Broncos, he didn't send his assistants. Because that's another big thing. It's kind of like a coach's convention.
Right. Yeah.
Everyone meets up and, makes connections or hangs out with the guys that they used to be on a coaching staff with that they haven't seen in a while, which that part's really cool. Vic Fangio was like, yeah, I don't care. Well, that's not a good use of my time.
Right.
And I'm not letting my tight ends coach overrule my GM anyway. So he can just watch the film and give his opinions. I don't need him to, be there in person. I don't know. There's a lot of different ways to look at it, but I think that it will continue to be propped up as a big event because it's part of the 365-day domination that the NFL puts on every year.
Right.
Like, we don't really we experience it a little bit in college football, not as much as we used to, certainly in the Coach Prime era and the transfer portal era. Every other sport has like a defined offseason where it's like nothing's happening right now.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen in the NFL, and that's not by accident. So it's always going to be Super Bowl, All-Star games, combine, draft, rookie minicamp, and it just keeps going. So the NFL never falls out of the spotlight.
Right.
But I think in terms of the play, I think it's going to kind of be like bowl games where eventually so many players opt out that it loses its aura.
Well, even the Falcons, this is kind of different here, but they're not even sending their offensive coaches or staff to the combine.
Yeah.
They plan on drafting all defense, too.
Wait, who said this?
The Atlanta Falcons. They're not sending any offensive personnel.
Wow. I would kind of love to see some front office to be like, we're actually not going to any of this shit. It's all stupid.
Yeah, for real.
Because, like, what if you did just say, we're only evaluating off tape and medicals?
I mean, this process has become so overcomplicated and so, again, bloated that kind of going back to basics, I think, would help a lot of people. It'd help the players, help the teams.
I have to say, it would be a huge blow to the media.
That it would.
The best scoops I ever got in my career were 3 a.m. at a bar in Indianapolis with a coach drinking.
Sounds electric.
It's fun as hell. It really is. But I can see why some organizations would view it as a waste because it really is like, what's crazy, dude, is sometimes these coaches have like 5, 6 a.m. workouts that they have to be at.
Yeah.
The bars in Indianapolis don't close till 4.
Oh, my God.
And they'll be shutting it down.
I mean, you got to be different to be a coach.
You do.
I guess you got to just be used to not sleeping.
Dude, 100%. Coaches operate on maybe less sleep than anyone.
It's crazy.
And, like, you see the guy the next day, and it's like, dang, he must be in terrible shape. Fine.
Yep.
Craziest one, I'll tell one story with names because this is a huge compliment to him. And it's not a coach.
Here we go.
You remember Brady Quinn?
Of course.
He's in the media now.
Yeah.
I went out at the combine in Indianapolis, and he was at the bar, and he's like, "Give me like a full tray of Fireball shots." Takes one for himself, hands them all out to everyone else. 5 minutes later, he's, do it again. Takes one for himself, hands them all out. He probably does this like, I'm not kidding, at least 15 times.
Oh my God.
So now I've personally seen him take like 15 shots of Fireball.
Right.
Again, now it's 4 a.m. Bar's closed. I'm like, dang, dude, good luck tomorrow. He's like, yeah, my show starts in 2.5 hours.
Bro, what?
I show up at like 8:30, 9. He's already done a full show. I'm like, I see him. I'm like, dude, how are you doing? He's like, fine. What do you mean? I was like, you were pouring them back last night. He's like, oh yeah, I've never been hungover in my life. I'm just like, dude, these athletes,
and
even former athletes' bodies operate at just such a different level than the rest of us.
That's a good point. But yeah, that's insane. I've heard many stories like that about the NFL Combine.
Mm-hmm. I once saw Jay Gruden playing champagne pong after he had literally signed an extension in the bar.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's how he celebrated. Huh?
Yep.
What a time. More combine news, though. We've alluded to it. Abdul Carter. He's got a stress fracture. Is that what they called it?
No, it was something similar.
Either way, he's got a foot injury that may or may not require surgery. If he does opt to get surgery, they said about 8 weeks. What does it say? Stress reaction.
Yeah.
Which,
Stress reaction seems
what
like
does that
what I
even
get
mean?
out of you in the morning.
Me?
Little stress reaction.
How did I have a stress reaction?
I'm not saying today. I wasn't saying today.
But yeah, his right foot, something going on. Their pro day is March 28th. Literally today. If he got surgery today, 8 weeks from now is the NFL draft.
Okay. They've already said, though, no surgery.
Okay.
Kind of rough for him that this even came out if it's no surgery situation.
Surgery is not advisable, Adam Schefter says.
I don't know, man. If I'm drafting number 1 overall, just scares me a little. And what I really don't care about is what Drew Rosenhaus tells me about this.
Oh, for sure. Because you know exactly where he's coming
He's
from.
like, I am 100% confident this will have no impact on his play. I'm like, yeah, of course you are.
Right.
It's funny. And he said he's going to put on a show at his pro day.
That is in about a month from now, too.
And then he's going to have a cold that day and not participate.
Yep. So we'll see what happens there, but obviously a big shakeup at the top of the draft. I haven't looked at
odds?
Draft odds, yeah.
Ooh,
I'm pulling them up right now. But this has to help Travis and Shedeur. Has to.
Yes, of course.
Their case to be drafted at the top of the draft. I'm trying to find this on the fly. I'm sorry.
I really am going to be banging my head against the wall if the team that hired the offensive coordinator of Joe Burrow to be their head coach decides to not take the most Joe Burrow looking prospect we've had. That's going to just make no sense to me.
I agree. All right. I don't think it's shifted that much, honestly. Wow. Actually, Shedeur has gone down, way down. Cam Ward's now minus 150. I think it was minus 125 or ish last time we talked about this.
Okay.
Abdul Carter's plus 135. Travis is plus 600 and Shedeur's plus 1,000.
I might have to get in on some of that Travis Hunter.
For real.
The generational player thing especially.
That's puzzling to me how those odds shifted like that after that news.
There must have been an article like is Peter King still doing it?
Probably. Monday morning quarterback,
Yeah.
right? I don't know.
Some
I
like
think so.
buzz from the Combine article that dropped that said like the Titans are in love with Cam Ward or whatever.
Something like that. I haven't seen anything about it, though. But that's it. Those are the top 4. Everyone else is plus 5,000 or more.
Love it.
Let's take our next break, then we'll hit the next couple things.
Some money-making opportunity for us.
Absolutely, it is. Shout out to our friends over at Lucy Nicotine. You're a big fan of Lucy, right?
Yeah. Best flavor in the game, in my opinion.
Spencer's a massive fan of Lucy.
Yep.
Upstairs. Swears by him.
Yeah.
But they're awesome, man. They got a lot of great flavors. The mango one was my favorite. What was yours?
Just the straight mint, but I like them all.
Apple ice was a good one.
My last order was mint, 1 roll of mint and 1 roll of espresso.
Okay.
Yeah.
So hit up our friends over at Lucy. Tons of great flavors. Go to the link lucy.co/DNVR. Use the promo code DNVR. You'll get 20% off your first order. Lucy also has a 30-day refund policy if you change your mind. Again, that's lucy.co and use code DNVR to get 20% off. Lucy products are only for adults of legal age, and every order is age verified. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Also, I said 30 days into my move streak. Also 30 days into my diet, which is being led by Factor.
Yeah.
I honestly swear by these things, man. And for me, at least, and I'm sure some of you can relate to this, like the easiest way to cheat or break your diet is just because there's nothing really in the house, you're a little lazy, you're just like, all right, whatever. I'm just going to order something or like, make some like frozen tenders or something that I have.
Some tendies?
In the fridge or in the freezer.
And what I nuggets?
What I love about Factor is you just always have something on deck. I do the 6 boxes per week, which just means like I'm going to have one a day, as one of my meals.
Do you have a new favorite?
You know what? Yesterday I had 2 really good ones. I had like a herb ricotta and ragu that went crazy. And I actually really liked one I had. It was like shredded chicken and butternut squash.
Wow.
Both of them were really good. So you got to check this out. You can go, I think, 4, 6, or 8 boxes a week. A lot of different options there. I highly, highly recommend trying it out. And trying it out using the code FACTORPODCAST to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code FACTORPODCAST at factormeals.com/FACTORPODCAST to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. At least try one box and come back to me.
No, shout out Factor, honestly. They're delicious. Super quick and easy. Go Bucks ass. Does a diet and live well go together? Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, maybe as like a alcohol replacement.
Precisely.
0 calories.
Precisely. Okay, Big 12 Pro Day. They sent out a press release today. They mentioned Shedeur and Travis. And we've gone along thinking that we're going to have a massive pro day at Colorado. But now the Big 12 is saying that in Dallas, March 18th through 21, they're going to have Travis, Shedeur, Jimmy Horn, T-Mac, Savion Williams, Jack Beckett, TCU, Cam Scattaboo. So how do you feel about this? Because this is not good news to me.
I'm fine with it because according to the conversations I've had, CU will still have their own pro day.
Let's hope to God.
So either way, it's another opportunity for these guys to get in front of NFL teams. Depending on if CU has their own, which I do believe will happen, or if they were to consider this their pro day, would tell me whether or not Shedeur and Travis are going to actually work out and participate. Sure. But it's just another time to have all 32 teams around you, see how you operate, see how you carry yourself. And I'm so confident in the way that those guys operate and carry themselves that I just think that only helps. So I don't think this takes anything away from Colorado's pro day right now. But I like the idea of, also just getting people around to see the prospects of this conference, which are really, really good players that for whatever reason the national media doesn't want to give as much credit to.
Yep. It says about 200 plus participants are going to make this pro day, which is kind of insane. I mean, the combine already has 300 some. There's only 300 some draft picks, right? So 200 plus players is pretty insane to me, but they're planning on broadcasting this on NFL Network March 19th and March 20th, 12 to 3 p.m. Central. We better have our own pro day. That's all I'll say.
Have you looked at your phone lately?
I have looked at my phone.
Okay. All right.
This doesn't sound like anything for sure yet, though.
All right. What was I going to say? Oh, speaking of Big 12 prospects in the NFL, I have this take that it has nothing to do with the Buffs, but I need to get it off my chest so it's out there in the world, so I can lay claim to it later. Everyone's talking about the Broncos, like Tyler Warren, Colston Loveland, Gunnar Helm.
Yeah.
You know who I think they should take, and they can get him later?
Who?
Jalen Conyers.
Absolutely. He was a monster at the Shrine Bowl, bro.
I think Jalen Conyers is going to be an absolute gem in this tight end class. And not just because he's our friend.
He's so big.
That's what I mean. He's huge and really so athletic that ASU is using him as a wildcat quarterback. I think Texas Tech actually did it a couple times too.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to me. He is massive and incredibly athletic. And I think there's still untapped potential with him as a blocker.
Thank you for bringing his name up. We're doing my guys on the draft pod today, and I might have to bring that one out because even at the Shrine Bowl, I was like, why isn't anyone talking about this guy? Like, all he did was make plays at ASU. I get at Texas Tech, he might have, Taj Brooks, new school. They had, really good wide receivers. I understand why he maybe fell under the radar, but yeah, you're absolutely right. How they used him, how big he is, how versatile he is, like, absolutely.
He's going to be a beast in the NFL, I think.
I agree with you.
And Chase says that Peter King retired last year. Hope he's enjoying retirement.
I think Albert Breer does Monday morning quarterback stuff.
Yeah, you're right. I have a lot of funny stories from the combine.
I want to go someday. I
Yeah.
can't. I've been trying to do this football media thing for like 7-8 years now. I've never been in the combine.
The weird thing about it, I think actually it's changed now. Now I think you're actually allowed to watch the drills. Before, the media wasn't allowed to watch.
I remember
So you were
hearing about
just
that.
there for press conferences, which was pretty lame, and to get drunk with
Socialize.
NFL people. It is cool though, because Indianapolis, like there's just not a lot going on there. So everyone goes to the same places. Whereas like if they were to move it to Vegas, your chances of seeing Jay Gruden playing champagne pong are zero. But in Indianapolis, there's only a couple places where you could be.
Is that steakhouse as advertised, St. Elmo's or whatever?
I think so. It's my favorite steakhouse I've been to.
Really?
Yep.
The shrimp cocktail or whatever?
The shrimp cocktail is unbelievable. And the steaks are great, of course, as well. But back when we used to have Mace on the Broncos show,
Yeah.
he put me on to this like ahi tuna dish that they have there that I like even better than the steak. It's like a spicy ahi tuna.
Wow.
So that and some shrimp cocktail, locked in.
I've driven through Indy. I've never really spent time there though.
One really cool thing about Indy, most of the buildings in downtown are connected, so you don't have to go outside when it's bitter cold.
That is pretty clutch.
And you could like walk. I walked from my hotel to the Broncos game in Indianapolis without going outside, which was like over a mile.
That's insane, actually. Though.
Yeah.
Is it underground?
Some of it is, especially leading up to the stadium. And then you like come into the stadium underground, and then you have to go up. Pretty cool.
Shout out Indianapolis. Okay, college football S&P Plus. Again, we did returning production ratings earlier in the week, I think on Monday. And the Buffs did not grade out favorably there, obviously, because just how Coach Prime recruits and operates, right? Heavy utilization on the transfer portal. We already know Shedeur and Travis are gone. That's just damn near all of your production pretty much at this point. I mean, you lost your top 4 wide receivers too. So it was all pretty obvious to us that what we were getting there. How S&P Plus is figured out. 1, returning production. 2, recent recruiting. And 3, recent history. With all that in mind, Colorado comes in at 48 in the country on S&P Plus. They are ranked 41st on offense, 54th on defense, 114th on special teams.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, new punter, obviously. You're going to get touch bucks this year, which I don't think it's accounting for in this.
Doesn't know about touch bucks?
I don't think so.
Wow.
I'm kind of surprised the defense isn't ranked higher than the offense, though, at this point.
Yeah. Where's the returning production? I mean, the recruiting, you have 2 5-stars on offense?
I guess.
That's actually kind of crazy to think about.
It is. It's a good point. I didn't even think about that either. But anyways, I think that the defense should have been ranked higher on this. I just thought that was interesting to bring up. Looking at the top here, the highest ranked Big 12 school is Kansas State at 19. We've got TCU at 26, BYU at 27, Iowa State at 28, Arizona State at 29, Utah at 32, Texas Tech at 33, and Georgia Tech at 46. So Colorado's ranked like 8th or 9th in the Big 12, according to this.
Okay. In the middle, which I think is going to be most people's prediction. With all the unknowns about Colorado, they'll just take the safe route and say they're going to be somewhere in the middle. Again, this isn't necessarily prediction as much as it is a model.
Right.
But What was the overall number for Colorado?
48.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, 48 overall, 41 offense, 54 defense, 114 on special teams.
Now, if Colorado outperforms this for probably the third year in a row,
Yes.
like Corey Phillips needs to get some credit, right?
Absolutely. Well, it says number 2, recent recruiting.
Yeah.
And this just shows maybe how unconventional Colorado's approach is, too, when it comes to recruiting, that even when you factor in recent recruiting, they still can't calculate it precisely because you can't really calculate, 9 recruits coming in compared to 27 for TCU or whatever.
Yep. I'm just saying these are largely based on like the unknowns can't be calculated.
Yeah.
And I feel like Corey Phillips has a really, really high hit rate on the unknowns. And it's not just him,
sure.
but him and his team, along with Coach Prime and the rest of the coaching staff.
Absolutely. Okay, recruiting. We've waited all week to talk recruiting. We've got a lot to talk about. 2 big offers have come out, multiple big offers actually, but the first 2. 2026 athlete Domata Peko Jr. from Calabasas, California, and 2026 defensive lineman Joseph Peko have both been offered by Colorado. Obviously. Joseph Peko is a defensive lineman. Domata Peko Jr. is actually an athlete. He's listed at 6'4", 220. He plays edge. So defensive lineman and an edge. Last name Peko.
So wait, both of these guys are
26.
And so then there's another Domata Peko Jr.?
No, this is him right here.
But there's also one at Hawaii.
It says JUCO.
Okay, so maybe he.
So he probably, right here.
Oh, okay.
Enrolled at Hawaii ahead of 2023. And then I guess decided to go to JUCO last year. Now he's been offered by the Buffs.
Cool.
I thought this one was interesting because you just don't really see this name brought up. Caden Gebhardt, safety out of Lewis Center, Ohio. Ohio. I don't really know if they've really recruited there since Sean Lewis.
Yeah.
But he mentioned Robert Livingston in his offer.
Cincinnati.
Exactly. This is a 4-star player, though, top 400 player on the 247 Sport Composite, ranked 399, 32nd overall safety, 6'2", 200 pounds from Olentangy High School.
Let me see it.
I mean,
yeah. Olentangy?
maybe. Dorian Barney. You remember him?
That name. That's Carrollton.
Carrollton, Georgia. He has included CU in a top 12. Carrollton, Georgia. Julian's former teammate. And I think they're actual good friends.
Yeah.
Just from looking at social media and seeing how they interact. I mean, but 2026, this is Julian's class, his actual class. These are probably kids he actually grew up with.
Yep.
Yeah.
Played, travel ball with or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Dorian Barney, though, in his top 12, Florida State, A&M, Ohio State, Michigan, Oregon, Penn State, Ole Miss, Georgia Tech, Miami, Notre Dame, North Carolina, and Colorado.
Okay.
Sorry, I got to hydrate.
Got to hydrate is what you said? Take your time, man.
I'm trying to make it through the show, and I'm thinking about the show I have after this, and I don't know how I'm going to survive. So,
all right.
4-star wide receiver Jordan Clay has revealed his interest in the Buffs. He had an article, I think, with Rivals recently, speaking about coming in for a visit this spring. He has OVs to OU and Texas already, and Baylor. I'm sorry, OU and Baylor lined up. But he's looking to add more, according to On3. Colorado is in the list, too.
I've never liked Oklahoma, but now I'm an Oklahoma hater.
Oh, let's go. I'm so ready. I'm so ready for that.
I always felt like we had common ground, with the whole horns down thing.
Mm-hmm.
I was on board with that. But now they're back on the shit list.
I mean, Dre had an all-time Brent Venables rant when I was gone on this show.
Nice. Yes. He did. Classic born on third base case.
Yep.
Doesn't that music just make you want a margarita?
Yeah, for sure. One day soon. Chase is right. MG Edge Jake Krull did just drop this 2 minutes ago. A top 12. Colorado's in there. 6'3", 235. One of the top edges in the 2026 class.
Out of where?
IMG. Bradenton, Florida.
Lock. Also another Jake.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Cliff Hill, I don't even know what he actually does. I can't even remember what he... Because he's not on staff at IMG. He kind of just, like, helps.
Director of something. Sorry, Cliff.
Well, he, like, helps with the transition, basically, from high school to college.
Yes.
Also, I was
going to say, like, development or...
Yeah, kind of like that. I'd keep an eye on Brett Collegier, too. We've talked about him. He's a 2026 kid. Just keep an eye on him. Rodney Colton, a 4-star linebacker, is going to be visiting on June 20th. 187th overall player from Noonan, Georgia.
Baller name, by the way.
I agree. Here's the big news today, though. We talked about him last week. Sedarian Morgan, the 5-star wide receiver out of Alabama. He released his OV schedule and had the Buffs as, TBA, right? Like,
Yep.
We didn't know. Now it's May 9th through 11th. That's going to be his OV. And he's also going to be on an OV with Jace Matthews, who's a 2026 4-star wide receiver from Mississippi, Greene County High School. Jace Matthews is the 147th overall player, 23rd ranked wide receiver. Sedarian Morgan is a composite 5-star, 17th overall player, 3rd ranked wide receiver, 6'4", 210 pounds.
Beast.
Sedarian Morgan will also be announcing his commitment on July 2nd. And I think Colorado's getting the last OV.
Yeah. So check this out from our guy, Matt H. He said last year the Buffs had 9 official visits before the season started. 5 of them became Buffs, so more than half. On the season, they had 18 total official visits. 11 of them became Buffs.
Mm-hmm.
So 7 OVs right now lined up before this season. Odds would say you're getting at least 4 of those guys.
Yeah. A lot of those OVs from last year were on Julian's weekend.
Yeah, and they almost swept it.
Yep, it was Evan Haynes and what was his name? Alex
Bell.
No. The DB. Alex Graham.
Alexander Graham Bell is what I was thinking.
But there's your recruiting update. It's heating up, and as you said, the OVs, pay attention to those because those matter.
Yep.
If you look at Colorado's rate when it comes to transfers, coming on visits, and OVs committing, they've got to have one of the best conversion rates in the country.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what Unc always says. That's what Coach Prime always says. That's what Bill McCartney always said. Mm-hmm. You get these guys to Boulder, you got a really, really great chance of making them Buffs.
So there you go. It's that time of year, though. With spring football starting in a couple of weeks, you're going to start hearing a lot more of guys coming to visit. Big-time OVs, guys who want to wrap up their recruitment before the season starts, all that stuff. So, you should know the drill by now.
Totally.
Questions?
Let's hear from the people in the Toyota chat.
The Toyota chat. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. MLN, any thoughts about some of the least discussed league-bound Buffs? Bentley, Green, Wonkwo, Cokes, I gather they will be at Pro Day. Danger of falling off the radar. Hard to believe they don't make a team.
They're all going to get chances. And that Pro Day, be it Big 12 or just in Boulder, is such a massive opportunity for those guys specifically. And this is all by design, by Coach Prime and everyone else who's involved to help those guys get the best opportunity to make it to the NFL. But if you go crazy at your Pro Day, and you really just have to have one number that really pops out. Right. You have a special vert, special 40. You throw up a crazy number on the bench. That someone from some NFL team is going back to their team, their GM, whoever, and telling them, hey, we thought we were talking about adding strength in the trenches. This guy just threw up 38 reps or whatever,
right. No, you're absolutely right. You didn't mention Cam there, MLN, but I can't help but think that someone's just After all the interviews they've done with Cam, all the times these scouts have come to practice, someone's got to fall in love with him. He'll definitely get a camp invite, but you look at UDFAs, right? Whenever those go out, and you have to look at the bonuses.
Yep.
Because that kind of tells, one, how much they wanted a player, but two, how coveted they were by other teams.
Bless you.
Because it's kind of like a bidding war for those guys, UDFAs.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean,
he should be up there, though.
It's usually a follow the money situation, which is, crazy when you get some of these stories. Like Chris Harris was actually the lowest bonus when he joined the Broncos. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yep.
MLN's asking, did Trevor Woods find a home yet? Seems like he could still withdraw. No.
Has there been a person yet to enter the portal and come back to Colorado since Coach Prime got here?
JB?
Yes, you're right.
But, I mean, that's a unique case. He's a Jackson kid.
Yeah, and didn't Coach Prime say he talked to him like a week later and was like, what are you doing?
Right, yeah.
He's like, I'm sorry, Coach. I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah. I can't. That's got to be the only one. 247 doesn't have Trevor on a team yet. I'm sure he'll find somewhere. Sorry. Essence Services asked, so Travis is not working out at the combine, confirmed. Yeah, someone...
Did he say that today when he was on the podium?
I don't think so, but someone reported it from Denver. He works for the Gazette, I believe.
Did you see the video that went viral of his...
Chris Thomason.
Chris Thomason. Did you see the video that went viral of his podium versus Elijah Huzzy's podium?
Yeah, that's nasty work, bro.
You know who the one person was at Huzzy's?
Was it Chris Thomason?
No, it was Carm from CHGO.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Arguable GOAT.
That's so good.
I love it. He quote tweeted and he was like, the wise man once told me to go away from the crowd or something like that.
Smart, though. I mean, he's absolutely right.
But it's just so funny. There's this massive scrum. Then it pans over to just Carm with his phone recording and smiling.
What's up, Ivan? What do we anticipate the buzz being after this week in Indy regarding Travis's draft stock? This is why I think he should have worked out. Because Travis has this effect that, and this happened at TCU, where, you can watch him practice. You can watch him do what he does, but it doesn't quite compute until you see him in those scenarios.
Yep.
Like the live game against TCU, the first time he was playing both ways, just doing everything. I think if he had that impact at the combine, just showing up for wide receiver and then DB day, having that impact, I think would have really driven home in scouts, decision makers, coaches' heads that this guy's truly different.
I think so too. Again, he never had to do anything.
Of course.
But he would have stolen the show. It would have been the Travis Hunter show. Everyone would have been talking about him, and it took till you and I got our first chance to lay eyes on a practice where we were like, holy shit, this is a once-in-a-lifetime, one-of-a-kind athlete.
Yep.
And I just remember that's when I started my whole thing about I've never seen anyone track the ball and track and attack the ball as well as he does.
Yep.
And so, you just give people a chance to see that, and they'll see you maybe the most fluid athlete they've ever seen in their lives and come away saying, I got to go do it. Again, they probably should have been in a game already.
Right.
If they weren't. But they can watch the tape and see it, but there's just something different about seeing the way that he moves in real life that pops.
But I think in terms of media buzz too, if Good Morning Football is leading with Travis Hunter the entire next week if he worked out this weekend. You know what I mean? They still might do that. But if he actually showed it on the field in front of all these people, not only do I think it changes the minds of some NFL decision makers and coaches, but the media would go absolutely just crazy over Travis.
Yeah.
Which they will eventually.
Yeah.
Super chat from Kev. maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think a two-way Heisman winning athlete should be obligated to perform at the combine unless your ratings need a boost. I mean, you're right.
None of these guys should be obligated to do anything. They've already played football for a long time, shown people everything they want to see. If you were going to base whether or not you drafted Travis Hunter number 1 overall based off of his 40 time, you should be fired.
Facts.
So yeah, no obligation, but he really could have stolen the show for fun.
He'll do that though in the near future.
And I also maybe they would wear this as a badge of honor and like that matters to them. Obviously, winning the Heisman mattered to Travis. It was something he really wanted. I don't necessarily, and maybe it's a Nashville thing, I don't necessarily get the feeling that Travis and Shedeur are like dying to be drafted number 1.
I think Shedeur wants it.
I think everyone would want it, right?
Yeah.
Like I said, it's a badge of honor, but I don't think it's like I'm willing to do anything to make sure that I get it.
That's true.
I actually think Travis might want it more than Shedeur.
I think you might be right, actually.
I think Shedeur wants locations.
That's true. And I think Shedeur realizes that kind of the longer he's on the board, the better opportunity he might be in. I mean, you're just going to a better team. Yeah.
Unless it's the Raiders.
Right. But just for a quarterback, like, I mean, if you're drafted first overall at the quarterback, I mean, you're going in there knowing that, shit, this might be a rough year, man. Like,
oh, yeah. I do think the Giants is like a perfect scenario.
I agree, man. All right. We're going to head out. We'll be back tomorrow. Offensive line, wrapping up offensive position previews, and much more.
Let's go.
See
Go
you tomorrow.
Buffs.
Go Buffs.
We all silly like the mayor.